Good morning slash afternoon slash whenever it is or if ever you watch this video. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm just going to take a few minutes to express my opinion and some perspective on how I view what's going on. Just a couple of things. First thing will be the Catholic Church's press release about that thing they wrote in the Synod. One, if you read the rebuttal of some of these bishops and cardinals, they don't even really agree with that. It doesn't seem they're even on the same page. But two, I think we should see it for what it truly is. A half-ass attempt to acquiesce the emotions of the growing homosexual community in Catholicism in order to keep that gay money going into El Banco del Vaticano. In my eyes, that's the true purpose. Because essentially what they're saying is, oh, we'll welcome you into our churches. You can come to all of our events. You can continue to give us money, but we're not going to marry any of your motherfuckers. That's essentially what they're saying. So, if I were a gay person, or gay and Catholic, or whatever, I wouldn't be happy about that message at all, because they're still not recognizing marriage equality. Secondly, just a quick little statement. I've seen a lot of statuses on Facebook vehemently against gay marriage, especially since it's illegal in North Carolina now. And then I've noticed some people talking about abortion for some reason as well. But isn't it ironic that the same people who think abortion and gay marriage should be illegal are essentially the same people who, on the other hand, talking about politics, will say that they don't think the government has any place telling them how to live their lives? Just a thought. Second thing are the Ferguson protests. In my eyes, they've gone on too long. Not that a protest shouldn't last long in order to achieve your goal, but in this particular instance, it's strategically unsound to continue to go. Because what's the one thing they don't expect anyone to do? Stop protesting. And I'm not saying stop protesting. I'm saying stop gathering in mass crowds, shutting down buildings. In my opinion, all you're doing is helping the police arrest more people. This isn't the 1960s, the late 1960s, early 70s, where the strategy was to overcrowd the prisons so much that they couldn't house the true criminals, so they had to let people go. Thanks to the prison industrial complex, there are some crowded prisons, but there's a lot of room, and they're willing to make more. Not even to speak of the manpower. They have the manpower to arrest all the people. I read an article that was touting the success of them shutting down several Walmarts for a few hours. I'm not saying that isn't an achievement, but what's your end goal? So what? Especially when more than 50% of the locals, when they run out of toilet paper, cereal, I don't know, pasta or pasta sauce, they're going to go back to Walmart and shop anyways. I can't speak on what it's like to have 30, 40, 50 automatic rifles pointed at me, especially from police officers. But if we're talking about strategy, it's time to pull back and reevaluate. In chess terms, for those of you who play chess, this is essentially the equivalent of your opponent castling their king, and instead of you drawing out the pawns or that rook, you're going straight for the most heavily defended part of the board. Not to mention they still have their two bishops, their two rooks, their two knights, the queen, and a whole lot of other pawns. Anyways, lastly, this is about perception and misdirection. A lot of people are just kind of taught things and they take it for some reason. Like, it's kind of scary. You look at government, you look at these, especially these articles on Ebola. Someone posted on Facebook this article entitled, "North Carolina woman tested positive for Ebola." Now that's a very, very misleading article title, especially since the person who posted it, once I read the article, I commented, bruh, you should really read articles before you put them on anywhere, because the article says that she's still in Liberia. Her husband came back, and they live in Charlotte, and he's under close supervision as well. And he said, well, I didn't read the article, I just kind of took it at its word. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Interesting enough. And before I do the last part, I see a lot of people hinting at it, but no one's really said it. So I'll take a few seconds to do so. I wouldn't put it past the United States government, the World Health Organization, or United Nations to intentionally release a virus into the general public. I'm not saying that they've done it yet. Perhaps they have, but I wouldn't doubt it. For one reason. Well, two reasons. Of course, people have been talking about depopulation, and Bill Gates, please look it up. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. He has a comment, paraphrasing, saying something that, if we increase the good work in the medical field, we'll be able to decrease the population by 10 to 15% in X amount of years. Look it up. I may even post the link underneath the video later. But the other reason is, what's the major change that's happened in the last few years? I don't like calling it Obamacare because it wasn't really his idea. Mitt Romney implemented it in Massachusetts. And Congress wouldn't, all those Republicans in Congress would not have voted on it if it wasn't something they wanted. Or something that they wanted to fail. That's how politics works. If everything's getting voted on, some people wanted this. I digress. What is the best way to test what you believe is a faulty healthcare system? I don't know. Let's see a massive increase of sick people. Let's see how well the insurance system works or the hospital system works then. It will either invalidate it or strengthen the system. Anyways, I'm going to read a small little bit, an excerpt from an American woman, author, who got both her bachelor's and master's degree from Harvard Kennedy School of Business. And this is how she feels about the 1%. The bourgeoisie, wherever it has got the upper hand, has put an end to all feudal, patriarchal, idyllic relations. It has pitilessly torn asunder the motley feudal ties that bound man to his natural superiors, and has left remaining no other bond between man and man than naked self-interest and callous cash payment. It has drowned the most heavenly ecstasies of religious fervor, of chivalrous enthusiasm, of Philistine sentimentalism, in the icy water of egotistical calculation. It has resolved personal worth into exchange value, and in place of the numberless indefeasible chartered freedoms, has set up that single unconscionable freedom, free trade. In one word, for exploitation veiled by religious and political illusions, it has substituted naked, shameless, direct, brutal exploitation. The bourgeoisie has stripped of its halo every occupation hitherto honored and looked up to with reverent awe. It has converted the physician, the lawyer, the priest, the poet, the man of science into its paid wage laborers. For those of you who aren't familiar with what I read, or the person who wrote it, but you agree with what was said, you should know that that was from the Communist Manifesto, written by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in 1848. This is why it's important to think for yourself. This is why it's important to not let other people tell you what it is. It's okay to listen, but look it up afterwards. Not everything can be taken at face value. I do apologize for misleading you, but now you get the point. And just because I read this book doesn't make me a communist. There are things in there that I do not agree with, as with any other text I pick up. But that excerpt describes our economic system perfectly. So just because you disagree with the overall ideology of the author or the author themselves, does that invalidate the truth behind their message? You tell me. Hopefully people will share their views and opinions and encourage a healthy dialogue between each other so we can have a meeting of the minds. It's the only reason why I'm truly doing this, to get people to talk about these things. The time has come and gone for us to, slowly do this. This has to happen soon. We can have healthy dialogue. We really can. It's just that people don't want to, for fear of how people may judge them, or how they'll be perceived by whomever, or whatever. And that's okay. Anyways, I look forward to whatever comments arise from this. Peace and love to you all.